So we're in a little bit of a lockdown right now on Maui, so I thought I would do a Canon camera shootout between a cinema camera, mirrorless camera, and a DSLR. Those being the C200, the EOS R, and the 1DX Mark II. So I've put together a little montage of each camera, just shooting a Jeep here on our property, and it'll give you a good chance to compare the footage, see which you like best, and then we'll break it down and do a little pro and con of each camera system. Okay, I couldn't be out there any longer. The mosquitoes are insane, so we gotta sit down in the bus here. So, honestly, I thought all of it looked really good. And so I think it just again goes to show that gear doesn't necessarily matter. You can put out a cool video with whatever kind of camera you have. Just go out there and start creating, especially for a platform like YouTube. Now, when you're getting into something more professional and where you're getting paid, that might be a different story. But for all purposes here, I mean, if you're shooting mirrorless, a DSLR, or a cinema camera, I think it'll be a pretty safe bet with whatever camera you choose that's right for you. But that being said, let's just jump into a quick little list of pros and cons of each camera system. Let's start off with the mirrorless, and that's the EOS R. And right away, I mean, any kind of mirrorless camera is pretty much going to be smaller and lighter, which for the most part is a pro. It also means that because it's a mirrorless, it doesn't have that little flappy mirror. It's going to be a quieter system as well. So you're going to be able to shoot completely silent, which again, in different circumstances can be super beneficial. With mirrorless, you should also potentially have a much faster capture rate or FPS, frames per second, just because again, you don't have that moving part. So it should, in theory, be a lot faster when you're doing photography. And lastly, another little pro for the mirrorless is you have that EVF, that electronic viewfinder, so you can always be continuously viewing your image. In terms of cons for the mirrorless, it kind of plays right back into that EVF that can sometimes drain the battery. So again, this isn't a hard and fast rule, but DSLRs typically have a better battery life than mirrorless. On the other side, with the DSLR, technology-wise, I mean, everything is going to be pretty much the same. There's going to be a few things that are going to be different, of course, but in terms of the quality, you're going to get the same quality. The difference is going to be in the build size, as DSLRs are always a little bit more bigger and bulky, heavier. But that's sometimes a pro as well. With my 1DX Mark II, I actually do like having a beefier camera. Feels better in the hand compared to something that could be a little smaller and feel kind of like a little toy. But in addition, DSLRs are generally more expensive than mirrorless as well. Again, that's not a hard and fast rule, but it is something that I found. And last, but definitely not least, we've got the cinema camera. This was the Canon C200, and right off the bat, the biggest limitation of a cinema camera is obviously that it can't take photos. So if you are a photographer, you're not going to be able to, there's no point in getting this. Cinema cameras are also the most expensive of the three, and they're also going to be bigger and bulkier than the other two as well. The only other two cons that I see in a cinema camera are the file sizes. Because the quality is so amazing, you're gonna have huge file sizes, which means you're gonna have to get some external storage, other storage solutions, and it also means that it's gonna be more time consuming. Because cinema cameras can shoot in RAW, and you don't have to do this, but if you are shooting in RAW, it's just gonna be more time consuming with your editing process. But again, jumping into the pros, it does mean that you're gonna have the best quality out of all cameras, whether it's mirrorless, DSLR. The cinema camera is just automatically going to shoot better quality video because that's what it's made for. And because it shoots better video, you're also gonna have more flexibility in post. So if you didn't quite nail that exposure, or your white balance was off just by a little bit, it's okay, because shooting RAW is going to allow you to kind of compensate for some of those errors. But again, just having that flexibility is so fun to work with, and it makes the whole editing process more enjoyable as well. But I would love to hear from you guys. What is it that you're currently shooting on, and what do you hope to eventually shoot on? Do you want to stick with mirrorless, or are you a big fan of DSLRs, or is the dream to get a cinema camera, or do you already have a cinema camera? And again, if so, which one? Would love to know, yeah, your thoughts on which looks better as well. Yeah, just super curious as to what your guys' thoughts are and what you're shooting on right now. And with that, make sure to like and subscribe. All that good stuff if you haven't already. It really does help. And I'll see you on the next video.